wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I watched The Last of Us episode 8 last night, and I'm gonna break it down today. I was gonna do it last night and record my breakdown and everything, and then I was tired and I wanted to get to bed a little bit early because I had a busy day today or whatnot, and so I'm glad I did. Because I'm not as harsh on this episode as I would have been last night, because I was a little bit annoyed last night with this episode. But now that I've had time to let it like marinate and really think about it, it's not that bad of an episode. And I just want to say the writing on this show is really good. It's really good, and I'm applaud them for that. But there's no clackers this episode again, and I'm all like, what is going on here? There's no way the game was this boring. I mean, the game, all I hear from people is how good this game is. And I'm all like, the game can't be that good if this is a representation of it. I'm just like, I mean, I understand things didn't happen, or things happened in the game that didn't, but a lot of that gameplay where you're fighting clackers every 5 seconds, I mean, some of that should have and could have transferred over. My whole thing is, episode 5, when we get that sinkhole and then the zombies just start coming out, the infected, the clackers and everything, that can't be the best of what we got on this show in terms of the infected. That can't be. It can't be. And we only have one episode left. This was the penultimate episode, and I was a little disappointed in the sense that, like, I thought there was going to be more. And I did feel at the end of this episode, I was like, well, I really didn't need to like stay up for this. I could have went to bed and like watched this in the morning. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And then also, I'm very curious I'll give you my thoughts on where I think this is going to go at the end, because I have thoughts. I don't know. But yeah, I just really wish that they would have put in some more clackers this episode, because I don't know, man. I just feel like, the game, there's gameplay, and then there's the story beats, and the cutscenes, and I just feel like they didn't do enough with the clackers this episode. But I'll tell you right now, the acting, especially, I'm telling you right now, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey both do a very good job. And we get to see Dark Joel in this episode. I'll tell you what, man, he went freaking, crazy eyes Joel. That's what I was calling him. And I did not like it. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, you get him kind of thing. And then we also got introduced to this character, David. But that's another thing about this episode. I felt like it was like there was more there, and they just kind of rushed it a little bit. I felt this episode was rushed in terms of like this David character. Like, I was like, this is interesting. I wonder, but and I don't know, man. I just feel like we could have gotten more, like maybe this could have been a 2-episode episode, like a two episode arc with that character. But it was just, I feel like it was just so rushed, because I'll talk about when I get to this breakdown. Let's just do that now. But before I get started, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we just keep getting pushed to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, so now that I got that out of the way, let's get started. So we start on this resort, okay? And because we find out it's not a town, it's a resort later on. And so it's right on the water, and like the wind is blowing and everything, and this water has not frozen over. But here's the town resort thingy. I'm not quite sure, but this is so we get David right here, and he's reading from the Bible, and we get all these people, and they're being quiet, and they're praying and everything, and at first I'll be honest with you, I thought he was a preacher also, but we find out he was a teacher before the infection. And he talks about from the Bible, he talks about and he shall wipe away the tears. And as soon as he does that, which is a very famous Bible term, as soon as he does that, this girl starts crying right here, and she's crying, and he comes over to her, and this is like his flock. It says right here, When we are in need, he shall provide. And at first, I thought it was religious, but it's not. It's a cult because I think, and you can correct me, I don't know how it is in the game. A small piece of me wishes I would have watched the cutscene movie sometimes because I was like, I wonder what's going on with this character. But I think with this, David is the he that this sign is talking about. Like, David will provide. Daddy will take care of you. And I'm all like, oh, David, you creep me out. And they didn't go far enough with this character. Okay, well, I'll get it. Okay. So then he sits down with her and he goes, you know how I've read this so many times, you know how this ends. And she's like, no. And then he finishes the Bible passage. I don't have it memorized. And she's upset, long story short, because her dad died. And we'll find out later who it was, but I'll tell you right now, it was the guy from not last episode, but the episode before that. When he swung the bat at Pedro Pascal, Joel, and then and Joel like choked him out and then broke his neck or whatever, and he had stabbed him with the bat, the bottom of the bat. That was her and this woman's husband / her dad. So she's upset about it, which understandably so. And he talks about how, like, you know, basically like, you know, I'm your daddy. I'm your father. And then she goes, can we bury him? And he looks to her and he says, we can't bury him because it's too cold. We can't dig the ground or whatnot. We'll do it in the spring, which is totally true. In northern states, you usually can't bury people in the winter because the ground is so cold. It's hard enough in the summer, spring to bury someone because you can't just do it with shovels and stuff, especially in like a graveyard. You have to get like special equipment. So then which we find out later on something else went down with the dead body situation, which I'll get to all this in a minute, but it's gross. I'm all like, man, I don't know. So, okay, you find out later they're eating people, which I thought this was kind of a take on the what were those settlers called? The Donner Party, where they got trapped in the snow and then they just started eating people, like dead people and stuff. And I'm all like, I don't know, man. I mean, I've never been in that situation, so maybe they're so hard up that they need to, but I'm all like, you couldn't do anything else, anything. So he's all like, I can't remember what he says to her, but he's talking to, what is this guy's name? Shoot. I can't remember this guy's name, but this guy right here, he does the mocap and I believe the voice of Joel in the video game. I think so. He does the mocap because I saw pictures of him on Twitter last night. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But he doesn't have very many lines and he doesn't have very much time on here. Like, I mean, he's probably not like maybe like 5 minutes. Anyways, so he asks, how much rations do they have? And he's like, a week, 2 if we thin it out enough. And he's all like, he's like, so-and-so saw some deer. And he's like, well, we'll go hunting later kind of thing. So he's like, you're losing faith. And he's like, they're just scared. And he's like, no, I'm talking about you. He's like, I still believe. I can't remember what else he says. Sorry, you guys. This guy's got some big ears. He's got some big old ears. We see it later too. And he says, you know, the kind of thing. So then we go over to Joel and Ellie, and his wound is looking nasty. Oh, that's infected. Look at that. Look at that pus right. I can't do it. We need to. And so he's not doing good. So she needs to figure something out, which, I mean, she didn't do a good job last episode of cleaning off that needle and the thread. I would have like doused it in. I would have got his little flask and seen if there was some alcohol in there and like dipped it in there or something. And the wound, I would have poured some on the wound, but she didn't do any of that because she's, you know, inexperienced. Anyways, so she's all like trying to figure something out. So she decides she's going to go hunting. She's going to go hunting for some food or whatnot. And so she spots a deer and you know, she stumbles a little bit. So, okay. So she spots a deer. There's Bambi's mom. And Bambi's mom is all, you know, eating. She's like, it's like that pretend you're a deer. You're walking through the woods, you get thirsty, you spot a little brook. You put your little deer lips down to the cool, clear water, And then bam, a freaking bullet goes flying through your chest. Your brains are sitting on the ground in little bloody pieces. Now tell me, would you care about a little girl and her dad who's dying? That's from My Cousin Vinny, although she says through your head. So she loses the deer, but she shoots it. She does good. And these guys find the deer. And so finally she's all like, put your hands up, don't move, put your guns down, kind of thing. And she's all like, you're by yourself. And he's like, we're from a bigger group. And she's like, I'm from a big group too. And he's like, okay, listen. He's like, you can't carry this all yourself. And she's all like, I don't. He says, listen, we have stuff. Maybe we can trade. And she's like, do you have medicine? Because Joel's sick. And she's like, all right. She's like, you. So he sends this guy. I can't remember his name. Sorry, you guys. He sends him back to get some medicine. He's like, just the medicine. Don't bring back people. And he's all like, he's like medicine for half the deer. And he's like, listen, I like this part because she unloads his gun. She like does it with one hand. She like click and the bullet pops out. I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. If you know anything about guns, that's what you got to do. You got to pull back the thingy and the bullet will pop out. And so he's all like, listen, we can't just sit out here. How about we go into this little shed area right here and we just hang out, and we wait because it's a 4-mile trek back. So then they go and they hang out and he carries the deer back to this little area. Now, I thought something would go down here, but nothing went down here. They're just talking and they light a fire. And he talks about how before the infection, he was a teacher. And she's all like, she talks about something about religion. He's like, it's crazy because before the infection, I was not religious. And it was the infection that brought me to God. And I don't think that he's really religious. I think he's just using religion to, bamboozle these people, which I just go, me personally, you know what, when it comes to cults, I always think that I could be strong-minded enough not to fall into a cult. But at the same time, I go in situations like this where you're just hungry and you're just like, I'll believe anything. I just need you to feed me, buddy. It's really interesting. But at the same time, I'm all like, he's not really saying anything that makes me go, he's a good like cult leader, But he talks about how, all this other stuff. I can't, but he's breaking her down because she lowers her weapon a little bit. And then he says how the people were hungry. So he sent out 4 men to go get food. And only one of them, look at her smile. Like she's all like, and everything. And he sent out 4 men and only 3 of them came back because one of them was killed by a bad man who had a daughter. And like, that's the look at that face. You could tell he's a bad guy. And he's like, don't hurt her, don't shoot her or whatever. And she's all like, he's like, put your gun down. He's like, did you bring the medicine? He's like, yeah. He's like, give it to her. And so he gives her the penicillin, except he throws it down. Hold on. I don't think I got it. Anyways, he throws it down and I'm all like, how did that not break? And then she takes it and she runs off. And he's like, listen, we'll take the deer back. And then we'll gather up some men and we'll come back and we'll get her. We'll track her down. So she gets it. Now, I was watching this and she's like, what do I do? What do I do? Now, I was talking to my wife because she's all like, she's like, that's probably not the best place to, because my wife works at a hospital. She's like, that's probably not the best place to. No, I'm not a medical profession. Do not listen to me. I'm just saying what I've heard and everything. She's like, that's probably not the best place to put it. It's probably, you want to put it in a piece of muscle, like a big piece of muscle. It's probably in the butt or in his arm, if he had like bigger arms or whatever. But she's like, that's where you probably want to put it. And, but yeah, so then, so she gives him the penicillin. And then I love this part because she lays next to him to try to like, I don't know, warm him up or whatnot. And I don't know. I felt like this part right here was kind of like touching in the sense that like, he could be dying and she's just laying next to him, like, just, I don't know, having faith that he won't die, So then back here, these two are cooking up some food and she brings in some cans and she's like, something like, we only have 4 more. And then he brings in this meat, right? And he sets it down. And she's like, what is it? And then he takes a beat and he's like, it's venison. But he gives him like a look like gives her a look, and then he's like, it's venison. And then she puts it in the thing. Now, I think she knew what it was, but she just needed, like, when you ask somebody, like, hey, should I buy this or should I not buy it? And they're all like, well, what do you think? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, you've made up your mind. You just need somebody else to give you the go ahead to buy it, or, whatever decision you're making. And I think that she knew what it was, but she needed somebody else to lie to her. So she gave herself the go ahead to eat a person, because they're cannibals, like, basically. And I was like, oh, that's so gross. But at the same time, so they come in, they bring the deer, and they're sitting here, and I can't remember what he said. Oh, he's talking about how they found the girl and Joel. Or they didn't find Joel, but they're going to take some men out. They're going to eat, and then they're going to take some men out, and they're going to they're going to capture them or whatnot and bring him to justice. And the girl whose dad was killed, she's like, kill him. You should kill him. And so he smacks her, and the mom says, I'll tell you right now. My wife and I were watching this, and she's all like, I don't care what's going on. You touch my child and you're dead. And I was like, right. And he's all like, so he smacks her, and he's like, listen, he's like, he basically like, I'm your daddy now. Don't talk while daddy's talking. And I was like, man, yeah. So they sit down, and he gets this crazy plate of food. Like, they all get bowls, and he gets this like big plate. And I'm all like, what? But I mean, I guess that's how a cult would work. And so they pray, and then they all eat, and they are just chomping away at this. They are just like, and everything, which I get, and they're hungry. But I'm just like, man, you guys, there's got to be a better way than this. So Joel is doing a little bit better. And she keeps pumping him with the penicillin. And she goes out, she gets on her horse, or she gets the horse, or no, she doesn't get the horse, but later she does. But she's walking in. David has brought along his little cronies, and he tells them, he's like, listen, he's like, we'll find the guy, kill him, but the girl, do not kill her. And so she's like, Joel, she's like, listen, she's like, they're coming for us. We have to, we have to get away or whatnot. So you need to just chill, dude. I'm going to go draw them away or whatnot. And she puts a thing in front of the doors. That way they kind of, and it doesn't really work. But anyways, so then she's all like, hey, mother effers. She's like, come get me. And she starts shooting at him or everything. And she's going away with the horse. And then this guy, he comes around and he shoots the horse, and she falls off. Hold on, let me show you that, because I'm all like, man, that was a hard fall. Like, watch, hold on. Bam, and then bam. Oh, so hard. I was like, man, that must have hurt. And it dazed and confuses her, because she's all like, huh, and she tries to like, whatever, and then she's out cold. And then he's like, I said, because this guy was all like, do it, just kill her. And he's like, I said, we're taking her in, not to kill her, kind of thing. So then he picks her up and he takes her back. And all these guys are in for some nonsense, because it goes down. I don't feel bad for them, though, because they're following a crazy person. So he goes into this house, and he moves this thing, and he's going downstairs to Joel. But Joel hears him, right? And Joel gets up, and he's all like, he's like prepared. So he gets this guy, he stabs him in the back, like he's and everything, which this was kind of fun, but and then this guy dies in front of him. And I don't know, a small piece of me, like, this is the thing, a small piece of me feels bad for these guys, in the sense that, like, I don't know, man, they're human beings, and this is the craziest thing. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm on Joel's side, because I'm all like, they're crazy. You have to. But I'm just like, man, I don't know. It just sucks. So she's been captured, and she's in this little pen. And he's basically like, he's all like, I see me in you. I was an angry person, because he says he was an angry person. He had an angry heart or whatnot. And he's like, we can rule this place together, me and you. And he's basically a Tito-phile. It rhymes with Tito-phile. I don't know. I can't say this stuff on YouTube, because they get very upset with you, and I don't want to lose my channel, because I like talking about this stuff. And Yeah, and basically like just he wants to rule, he wants her to help him rule his little kingdom as what, his wife. She's like young. It's really weird, but I mean, you totally get it from him. And he was a teacher. Totally plays into stuff right now. But anyways, so these guys are bouncing along or whatever, and he sees this guy knocked out and he goes to see him, but then Joel comes up behind him and gives him a gun butt to the face. Bam, you know? So then he wakes back up and Joel is just beating the crap out of this other dude. And he stabs him in the kneecap and he's like, ah, and he's like, where's the girl? And he's like, say Sandy Pines. And he's like, show me on the map where he's like, it's not a town, it's a resort. And then he does the trick from before. Oh, gross. He puts the knife in his mouth and he says, listen, you're going to point on this map where this little Sandy Pines is. And then I'm going to ask your friend. And if he doesn't tell me the same thing that you tell me, you're dead. And I'm all like, oh, it's from before, like episode, what was it? Like 4 or whatever, 4 or 5. No, it's 6, episode 6. Sorry. And so he points and then he kills him. And he's like, oh, why did you do that? He told you what you wanted to know. And he's all like, I'm not going to tell you anything. He's like, don't worry, I believed him. And then he kills him. And I'm like, man. So again, she's trying to get out or whatnot. And then she sees, hold on. I need to get the, hold on, 2 more seconds. So she's trying to pick it out, but she sees something. So then he slides her some food. And then he looks over at what she was looking at, and it's oh man, I'm not getting a good picture of. Hold on. It's an ear. Because they're chopping people up. And so he's like, don't worry, this is actually deer meat. And she's all like, is that what's gonna happen to me? And he's all like, I don't know, if you're not a good girl, kind of thing. And she's like, I'm not gonna be a good girl. And he basically like hold on. They do this back and forth talking and everything, and he holds her hand or whatever, and she breaks his finger, and and he slams his head up against the bars, and she's like, yeah, but I'm the one that broke your effing finger and everything. And so he goes to get what's his face, the other guy, and so Joel is he's going to find Ellie. He's breaking into this little encampment, and he goes into this little meat locker basically, and he finds these dead body. There's the deer body. I think that's the deer body. Yep. There's that's the horse, because they're gonna eat that horse. But then he finds these dead people, and I'm all like, ugh, they're just saving them, and I'm like, that's gross. So then he gets this guy, and they put her up again. They put her on this chopping block thing, and they're about to chop into her, and she's like, I'm infected. And they're like, what? And everything. And so she's like, check my arm. And so they check her arm, and he's like, it's impossible. She turned by now. And he's all like, yeah, but look at her arm. She's definitely infected. So then she grabs the meat cleaver and blah, that guy in the neck, and he's dead. And then she runs away. She can't get out of this little restaurant area. And so she grabs this wood, and he comes out of the kitchen, and she throws it at him, but it starts a fire. And then he's all given this like speech, this monologue about all this stuff. And I can't remember what he says, but then he tries to force he gets stabbed. Okay, so this is the part that was really weird to me. He gets stabbed in the gut or whatever, and then there's a fire going on, but he's still going to he tries to undo his pants because he's going to force himself upon her. And I'm all like, what? That's so weird. It's so weird and bad. It's bad, but I'm all like, dude, what's going on here? What's going on? So then she grabs the meat cleaver and she just hacks away at him, just like, ah. And good for her. He deserved it. And she gets out, and then she's walking, and then Joel grabs her, and he's like, it's me, baby girl. And he calls her baby girl, and I was like, oh, I call my daughter baby girl too. So I think it's a dad thing. But he hugs her to let her know that he's there. And then they're just, she's got trauma, and and then they walk off into the distance, and then that's where the episode ends. Now, again, Not a bad episode, but like I just felt like again, it was kind of rushed. Like I was hoping for more. And but one thing, and I definitely will applaud this for the show, is I definitely liked the dark Joel we got to see, even though he was hardcore harsh. Like he stabbed that dude in the kneecap, and then he's like, I'll cut your kneecap right off or whatever. And I was like, oh man, Joel, you are like giving me like my legs hurt right now. And okay, so here's my thing about this, because we only have one episode left, and my thoughts on this are, where can this go? Where can this season, this show go? So here are my thoughts. They're gonna get to the I'm gonna be wrong. I have a feeling I'm wrong, but I hate being wrong, but don't we all? Okay. I have a feeling they're going to get to the lab that they need to get to figure out the cure. And so, but Ellie, it's going to be overrun by the infected. I'm hoping there's infected in the next one. And then they're just gonna be like, well, where do we go now? What do we do now? And then that's going to be the end. And I don't know if that's going to be the best ending, just because like everybody I talk to that's played the game, they're just like, it's the best ending. And I'm like, I don't see where this could go from here. But this was again, this was not a bad episode. It's just, I don't know how to feel about this show. Like, I definitely don't like it. And the writing is very good. I don't want to diss on it, like in that term. The writing is good on this show. I would say, it's a masterclass in writing. It's just the whole time I'm just like, every episode, I'm just like, interesting. Where are these freaking clackers? I thought a lot of people got infected. I feel like only the cities got infected, and that's only where the clackers are, But yeah, that's my breakdown. That's all I'm gonna go with that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the season finale, which will happen later on Monday morning. I have to go in that night for whatever, but it'll be later on Monday. But anyways, okay. Tell me, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Don't tell me what happens. Don't tell me what happens. You could tell me if my theory is wrong, but don't tell me what happens, because I don't know what happens, and I want to be surprised a little bit to figure out what's going on. So yeah, that is my breakdown and review, you guys, of this episode. Tell me what you guys thought about it. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on my final breakdown and review of The Last of Us. You guys have a good week. Bye.